Forget everything you think you know about Bill Gates, because his transformation is the biggest plot twist in billionaire history. Seriously, if you looked at a photo of Bill from the mid-90s and compared it to him today, you wouldn't just see a few more wrinkles. You'd see a completely different human being. We are talking about the ultimate glow-up here, people. How did a man once feared as the most ruthless monopolist in the tech world end up becoming everyone's favorite sweater-wearing, book-recommending global grandfather? It's a transition so wild it feels scripted. Back in the day, Bill wasn't known for saving the world. He was known for wanting to own every single piece of it, one line of code at a time. Imagine a guy who could make entire boardrooms tremble just by adjusting his glasses. That was the Bill Gates of the 1990s. He was the undisputed king of the PC era, a man whose ambition was so legendary it became the stuff of nightmares for his competitors. If you were in tech back then, you didn't just compete with Microsoft, you tried to survive them. But then, fast forward a few decades, and the same man is walking around in pastel V-neck sweaters, talking about the importance of clean water and how we can save the planet from the next pandemic. It's a total 180-degree turn that honestly leaves people scratching their heads. Was this the most successful rebranding campaign ever designed, or did the man truly find his soul? To understand the hero, we first have to understand the villain arc. In the mid-90s, the US government decided they had seen enough of Microsoft's dominance. They hauled Bill into court, accusing him of using his massive power to crush anyone who stood in his way. If you haven't seen the courtroom tapes from back then, you are missing out on some of the most uncomfortable, fascinating footage in history. Bill looked bored, annoyed, and sometimes outright hostile toward the prosecutors. He wasn't the friendly face of tech, he was the face of a monopoly that seemed untouchable. It was a PR disaster of epic proportions. Every headline painted him as the ultimate corporate predator, a guy who would stop at nothing to win. It felt like the world was closing in on him, and for the first time, his genius for software wasn't enough to save his reputation. This was the ultimate pivot point. Most billionaires would have just retreated to a private island and counted their cash. But Bill did something different. He shifted gears entirely. He realized that while money couldn't necessarily buy love, a foundation on a global scale could certainly change the narrative. We are talking about a shift that didn't just move millions, but hundreds of billions of dollars. It was a move so massive, it shifted the entire landscape of how we think about wealth. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. It is always so cool to see how far our stories reach. Now, think about the sheer scale of what happened next. Bill went from measuring success by market share to measuring it by how many millions of children were vaccinated against polio. He started talking about things like global health, sanitation, and agricultural productivity in Africa. It was a shocking change of pace for a man who used to spend his days fighting over browser wars. Why the sudden interest in mosquitoes? Why the obsession with vaccines? Was he pushed by the constant legal pressure and the public's growing disdain? Or did he jump into philanthropy because he truly felt the weight of his privilege? It's almost like he traded his quest for market dominance for a quest to solve the world's most complex puzzles. It's a fascinating pivot from coding software to trying to code a better future for the entire human race. But wait, there is so much more to this story than just Bill. You see, a transformation this massive doesn't happen in a vacuum. There were people in his ear, influences in his life, and strategic moves made behind closed doors that the public rarely sees. Stay tuned because in the next part, we are diving deep into the hidden influences that turned the shark of Silicon Valley into the soft-spoken philanthropist we see on our screens today. We're going to look at the partners, the friends, and the messy history that built the man he is now. You won't want to miss the secrets behind the sweaters. You might think Bill Gates woke up one morning, looked at his massive pile of gold, and decided to become a saint overnight. But let's be real, nobody makes a change that massive without some serious help. We absolutely have to talk about Melinda French Gates. She wasn't just Bill's wife. Many insiders say she was the person who gave the foundation its actual soul. While Bill was busy looking at spreadsheets and data points, Melinda was the one pushing for the human connection. It's a wild thought, right? Their marriage wasn't just a typical romance. It was a multi-billion-dollar business partnership designed to upgrade the entire planet. They were like the ultimate power couple. But instead of just buying sports teams or yachts, They were trying to figure out how to eradicate polio and fix sanitation in places the rest of the world had forgotten. It's like they were running a startup where the profit wasn't money, but the number of lives saved. But we can't fully appreciate the philanthropist Bill without taking a quick look back at the Nerd King Bill era. Before the sweaters, there was the shadow of Microsoft. And it was dark, guys. This wasn't a fairy tale. We're talking about a time of messy breakups with partners like Paul Allen. Did you know Bill and Paul were childhood friends? But as the money grew, so did the tension. The aggressive tactics Bill used to make Microsoft the dominant force on Earth weren't just reserved for competitors. Sometimes they hit close to home. These were the high-stakes moves that made Bill the richest man alive, but they also painted him as a shark in a world of minnows. He was the guy who won at any cost, and that reputation is a hard thing to shake, even with a billion-dollar checkbook. It was that win-at-all-costs mentality that made him the villain of the 90s. But it's also the same drive he now uses to fight global diseases. However, every superhero or anti-hero needs a mentor, and for Bill, that was the Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett. This is probably the most expensive bromance in history. Can you imagine being a fly on the wall during their first dinner? One single conversation with Warren led to the creation of the Giving Pledge. This wasn't just a pinky promise to be nice. It was a public commitment that changed the face of wealth forever. Warren pushed Bill to think even bigger than software. He challenged him to use his genius for something that couldn't be sold in a box. It's because of this friendship that the world's most aggressive businessmen started looking at mosquitoes and vaccines with the same intensity he once used to look at source code. It's funny how a single dinner can lead to hundreds of billions of dollars being redirected toward the common good. It's a fascinating contrast when you look at his daily life too. On one hand, you've got Xanadu 2, Zero, his $130 million mansion that's basically a futuristic dream world. We're talking about high-tech sensors, rooms where you can change the digital art with a touch, and a massive library that would make any bookworm drool. Talk about a life of luxury. But then you see the lifestyle swap in action. One week he's in his high-tech fortress, and the next he's in a remote village in Africa, sitting on a wooden stool and talking to local leaders about irrigation. It's like he's living in two different dimensions simultaneously. How does someone balance that kind of extreme wealth with the reality of global poverty? One day you're walking on heated floors, and the next you're walking through a field trying to explain how a new type of seed can prevent starvation. And we can't ignore the PR strategy behind it all. Do you think the glasses and those famous pastel sweaters were an accident? Probably not. His public image shifted from a cold monopolist to a relatable book-reading genius. It was a brilliant move to soften his edges. By focusing on his love for reading and his desire to solve global puzzles, he became a brand that was much easier for the public to swallow. He transitioned from building software to trying to save the world, making the Gates Foundation more powerful and influential than some actual small countries. But don't get too comfortable with this saintly image just yet. Think it's all sunshine and roses. Think again. Because while the world was falling in love with this new version of Bill, some serious cracks were starting to form. Behind the scenes, things weren't as perfect as the PR team wanted us to believe. Stay tuned, because while he was busy becoming the world's most famous donor, a new storm was brewing on the horizon. We're about to dive into the controversies that almost ruined his new reputation. We're talking about the rumors, the associations, and the events that had everyone asking, is he really the hero he claims to be? You won't believe what comes next. Just when you thought the transformation from a shark to a saint was complete, the armor started to show some pretty serious cracks. The biggest shocker came in 2021 when the world was hit with the news of the divorce between Bill and Melinda French Gates. This wasn't just another celebrity breakup, it felt like a global earthquake for the charity world. For 27 years, they were the ultimate power couple, the face of the foundation, and the duo that proved billionaires could actually do a massive amount of good together. When they called it quits, it left everyone wondering, what really happened behind the scenes of that multi-billion-dollar partnership? Was the soul of the foundation leaving with Melinda? People started digging deeper, and let's just say the results were a bit messy for Bill's polished image. Then came the rumors that really made the internet go wild. We're talking about reports of workplace behavior that didn't exactly scream friendly grandfather. There were whispers about his intensity and some associations that left fans feeling a massive sense of ick. It was a classic PR nightmare. Suddenly, the man who spent years crafting a persona of a quiet, Book-loving genius was facing questions that had nothing to do with vaccines or saving the planet. These headlines started to peel back the layers of that carefully curated image, reminding us that even the most generous philanthropists have complicated histories. It's a wild reminder that no amount of money can truly hide the complexities of a long career in the spotlight. If you hop onto X or TikTok these days, you'll see that the vibe around Bill is totally split. On one side, you've got people who see him as a literal lifesaver, praising his work on climate change and global health. But on the other side, it is a total firestorm of conspiracy theories. From wild claims about vaccines to theories about how he's secretly running the world, Bill has become a favorite target for internet trolls and skeptics alike. It doesn't help that he's currently the largest private owner of farmland in America. Seriously, think about that for a second. Why is a software guy buying up millions of acres of dirt? The land grab mystery has the internet spiraling. Is he trying to revolutionize farming? Or is there a more secretive plan to control the food supply? The theories are absolutely wild, and they show just how much people struggle to trust a man with that much power. Beyond the spicy rumors, there is a real debate happening about philanthrocapitalism. Critics are asking, is this just a massive tax loophole? Is Bill using his foundation to bypass the government and dictate global policy himself? It's a fair question. When you're richer than entire countries, your donations come with a lot of strings attached. Is it right for one man to have that much influence over what happens in African villages or how the world handles a pandemic? Some say he's a hero filling the gaps that governments leave behind, while others worry that he's created a system where billionaires can buy their way into history books and avoid the rules everyone else has to follow. It's a high-stakes game of influence that leaves many feeling uneasy. So what is the future for the man who literally tried to code a better world? He's certainly not retiring to a quiet life of golf. Bill is leaning harder into the future than ever before, investing in things like artificial meat and next-gen nuclear energy. He's still convinced that he can solve the climate crisis with enough innovation and capital. Maybe there's even a new romance in his life, or maybe he'll just keep reading until the end of time. But the big question remains, can a person truly erase a ruthless past by writing giant checks? Or will he always be that aggressive CEO in disguise, just wearing a softer sweater? Love him or hate him, you can't deny he changed the world twice, with a computer and a checkbook. What do you think? Is he a genuine hero or just a master of the greatest rebrand in human history? Drop your comments below and share your thoughts.